Really good mood because I finally finished this. Oh, I didn't know if I was going to get it done before I was going to do this live reading of The Wish. Okay, I just realized something. I'm holding the first 2 books in a series. The Keeper of Soul series, the Sword of Realm series. So anyways, yes, I just finished it, so I can actually show you, maybe, if I can. See all those highlights right there? You see them? Those are all the edits that I did. So all the edits I did, I wrote it in pen, and then I highlighted it so I didn't repeat it by accident. So here I wrote it in purple pen, and then after I got done when I finished it, I put the edits onto my document, onto the computer, and then I highlighted it. So all of that right there. I have no clue how many edits I did, but I did change. I didn't really change like a whole lot, but I did like delete like a sentence or something that someone said. So I do have to actually fix the back of this, I think. Yeah. So anyways, I just wanted to let you guys know. Okay, so in today's live reading, I will be reading chapter 18. So I'm trying to think, live reading, what are the notes I have? Okay, chapter 18. There's no notes on it. Okay, so I'm trying to remember what happened last time. Yes, I know I read the book. I know. Oh, Olivia was in her room and she got attacked by a black shadow again. And her mom came running to the room, and I think the door slammed shut. And then her mom and her dad did not see the black shadows, so I think so Olivia was attacked on the bed, and she went into her mom's room. So this is where we are leaving off. Okay, let me get a drink. Yes, I'm drinking coffee, and there's cat hair on it. Right, Batman? Hi! Of course, Batman is like right down there. Hi, handsome. Okay, let's get started. So, chapter 18 of The Wish. If you guys, my air conditioner is on. If you can't hear me, just comment and I will turn it off. Olivia opened her eyes. Tall trees overhung the long dirt path ahead of her. Dead leaves and broken twigs were scattered across the ground until a brisk breeze blew the leaves, exposing a path. She walked down it. Why am I here? Halfway down the path, she stopped and saw a house in the middle of nowhere. Why did it look so familiar? Where have I seen it before? She wanted a closer look. Once she was close enough, an unknown force pulled her right inside the house. The hard wooden floor and wide staircase brought back a memory she'd never forget. Wait a minute, I know this house. There she was, Inga. She stood by the window, her bony fingers pressed against the cracked glass. In the distance, 3 men on horses made their way towards the house. Inga's eyes glowed with hate and anger. She turned and walked right past Olivia, as if she didn't see her. She then stopped by the thick book, opened it, and then flipped through the pages. What is that book, and why did she even have it? Olivia took a step closer and peered at the worn-out, stained pages. At the top were circles. In the middle was a star and a head with horns. Wait, horns? Oh no. Are those the shadow creatures I saw that night in my room? Olivia covered her mouth and took a step back. What's going on? Had Inga sent those shadow creatures to my house? If she had, then why? Inga moved a thin finger down the middle of the page, then stopped and grinned. What does she have planned? Inga looked up. Just as her eyes glowed, flames burst up in the center of each candle behind her on the wooden shelf. Evil spirits, come forward now. Take me to the future. The 20th century is my destination. Olivia ran over to the window and saw that the torches the men were holding burnt out. The wind picked up and branches scraped against the window, causing Olivia to jump back, bringing a hand to her chest. The men lost control of their horses and were knocked off onto their backs, hitting the ground. Leaves blew over their hands and legs. Their hats danced across the ground. Running and screaming caught Olivia's attention, and she looked at the ceiling. Who's upstairs now? Olivia looked back at Inga. She grimaced, looking up at the ceiling. Margaret, Eleanor, quiet up there. Just to let you guys know, those two names are in the next book. So I had to leave a little Easter egg. Quiet up there. What? Who is Margaret and Eleanor? What's going on? The high wind swirled around Inga's house like a tornado. She raised both hands. Don't fail me now. Black mist swirled around the room faster and harder. Everything was out of focus. Olivia lost balance and fell to the hard wooden floor on her rear and hands. Her hair flapped past her face, stinging her skin. She broke free from the nightmare and bolted upright in bed. She breathed heavily, sweat settling on her forehead, including her chest and shoulders. Was Inga responsible for the shadow creatures and the dreams? And who was Margaret and Eleanor? Realizing she was in her mom's room, she peeked at the other side of the bed and didn't see her mom. Streaks of light shone in through the window. Her mom never closed her blinds half the time. She glanced over the edge of the bed, then the floor, to see if there was anything there. Nothing. The sunlight glimmered along the hard wooden floor. Birds sang, and a fresh, earthly smell scented the room. Olivia placed both feet on the floor for a brief second, then pulled her legs back up. She stood on the bed, then leaped to the doorway. She peered down the hallway to her room and crossed both arms. Should I go in there or go downstairs? She leaned her head to the door rail and thought hard. Before she realized it, she was walking down the hall to her room and stopped in front of the closed door. A cold draft came from the other side. She flinched and took a step back. Low whispers were heard from downstairs, her parents talking back and forth. The words could not be understandable. Obviously, they were talking about her. If they weren't, they would be talking louder. She reached down for the handle and turned it, then pushed the door open. It was quiet and a little dark because the blinds were closed. The room didn't feel the same. It hadn't since she'd been seeing that had horns. It looked like the shadow creatures that had attacked me a couple of nights ago. Maybe Inga did have something to do with that. Folded clothes sat on the blanket chest. She knew she had to get them, but how? The shadow creatures would get her. Oh my gosh, they closed the door down there. Whew, that scared me. There's a business down below me and they just slammed the door shut. It scared me. That's what I get for reading scary stuff. Okay, the shadow creatures would get her. What are you doing? Olivia spun around. Her mom stood there and stared at Olivia, then looked into her room, then back at her again. Go get your clothes. Olivia swallowed hard and then walked over, holding a hand on her arm, cringing. She grabbed her clothes and walked out of the room. Whew! That went smoothly. Hurry up and take a shower. We'll be leaving to go to the doctor. Olivia had forgotten about that. She really wanted to fake that she was sick, so she didn't have to go. She had no choice but to. Do I have to go, Mom? Yes, her mom replied, while walking over to the landing. She turned toward her and smiled with her hand on the rail. Get dressed. She headed back downstairs. A half an hour later, Olivia came downstairs and saw her mom leaning against the counter with a teacup in her hand. How much more honey tea will she drink? Her dad sat at the kitchen table. Her last step squeaked, catching her parents' attention. They both turned around and didn't speak. You don't believe me, do you? We never said that, Olivia, her mom said, then searched for the keys in the bottom of her purse. Let's go. She walked over to the door and opened it. Her dad walked over and pulled her into a hug. It's okay. He walked out the door with her and out to the car. Olivia stopped by the car and crossed both arms. Olivia, get in the car now. Olivia got in the back of the car just as her dad got in the front seat. She pulled her seat belt on and scanned the trees. What will the therapist do? What would he say? He'd probably tell her that whatever was happening wasn't real. That was easy for him to say. It wasn't happening to him. It was happening to her. Olivia crossed both legs and tightened her fists to keep them at ease. A nice cool breeze blew past towards her face. She leaned her head back to the seat and closed her eyes. Seconds grew into minutes that seemed forever. It gave her enough time to relax and think. There was so much going on that I couldn't keep it all in line. I thought about the small open trail, Inga's house, and meeting her for the first time, and seeing the emerald diamond around her neck. I thought about the wish I had made from the crystal stone Inga had given me. I couldn't get the thought of the shadow creatures out of my head that had attacked me. And Margaret and Eleanor, who are they? And of course, the dream of the little boy. Why is it happening to me, but not to my mom and dad? The car came to a stop, snapping Olivia out of her deep reflections. Oh great, we're here. Where's a place to run and hide? She stared at the brick building on each side of the wooden front doors. Were two square, oversized white panel windows. The pyramid-shaped roof had a gray metal texture to it. On the ground in front of the building was a big gray rock that had Dr. Stu's office carved into it. Below the name was the address and phone number. The building seemed like it might also be a house. The owner could probably be living in the basement. Some people with offices did that. Olivia's dad opened the door, got out, and opened Olivia's. Olivia just sat there, not wanting to move or get out. There was no way I'm going in there. Her mom arranged the strap of her purse on her shoulder, then walked around the car to Olivia's side. Her dad moved out of the way without any conflict. Get out of the car, Olivia, her mom said. Olivia bit the inside of her mouth and tightened her grip on her arms. Olivia, I'm going to count to 3, and you better get out before 3. Oh great, this is pointless. 1. Olivia got out, walked up the steps to the building, and waited by the front door. Her dad stopped and placed a hand to her shoulder. It's going to be okay, Olivia. I promise, okay? I know, Dad. I just don't want to be here. It will be over before you know it. Olivia and her dad sat down together in the waiting room. Olivia's mom spoke to the woman at the front desk. The floor had white tile, a TV attached to the wall that played cartoons. A small area across the room was for kids to play, including a little table with crayons and coloring books. Kids come here too. Is this place for all ages or what? On the good side, it did smell fresh, like new furniture and air freshener. The walls were a light purple, and the wall behind Olivia and her dad was all rock, just like the outside. There were plants and a long wooden table with magazines piled on it in front of Olivia and her dad. A young couple walked out of an office and left. They looked happy, like a problem they had been dealing with had finally been solved. Olivia's mom turned around and sat down next to Olivia. A woman in dress pants, a gray shirt, and shoulder-length brown hair, her bangs pushed to the side, stopped in the waiting room and looked at the clipboard and said, "Olivia McGalla?" Olivia paused and got up and walked into the therapist's office. A man sat at a desk. The office was on a spectacle. I did not choose that word, my editor did, so I have no clue how to say that. With white walls and hardwood floors. One wall was a rock all the way to the ceiling. He pulled a hand out of one of his pockets. "Have a seat," he gestured to the chair. Olivia stood there for a second, knowing she couldn't leave, so she sat down in the chair and kept her head down. "Olivia," the therapist said. She heard shuffling through papers. She peeked up and saw a notepad in his hand. "I'm Dr. Stu. Your mom called. She's concerned about you right now. Do you want to tell me what you are feeling?" Olivia sat in silence. "Tell me what happened," he asked, then pulled a silver pin out of his pocket. The sunlight reflected off it. Olivia exhaled. "You can't help me with what I'm going through. And why not? And why is that?" She paused. "Because they are already dead." His brows creased. "Do you think you can handle whatever you're going through?" "I can handle it myself." She stared down at her tangled fingers. "Can I really handle it? Or am I just saying that to get out of here faster?" Both might be very true. "Are you afraid?" "Yes. My dad always taught me to face my fear." He paused. "Do you have night terrors?" She shook her head. "I asked because your mother said you woke up screaming in the middle of the night." Olivia's face grew hot and her heart thudded. "Oh no. I'm going to be sent to a psych unit." "She told you that?" "Yeah. If you are having night terrors, I can help you with that. There's always a cure. I'm here to help you, okay?" Alright, that is it for that chapter. So the next chapter is where the doctor visit continues. So I'm not gonna read that, but so the next time, okay, so this Friday night I'll be reading chapter 19. So that chapter was very interesting to write because I'd never been to a therapist and I really didn't know like how they worked, where they like lived, and I had to watch like a ton of movies with therapists in it, and I wrote a lot of notes down, and after I did that, I went back to this chapter and I was thinking, if I was a teenager and having these experiences and my mom was gonna take me to a therapist, I would be scared too, because I would be like, oh my god, they're gonna send me to a psych unit and I'm gonna be labeled as crazy. So I think I wanted to show fear from Olivia's point of view when she was going to get sent to the doctor, and then she has to go to the therapist, and this is like new to her, so she doesn't really know like how to explain like the shadow creatures and this woman and the dreams of this little boy. And now she discovered two little girls, Margaret and Eleanor. She has no clue like who they are, and those two little girls actually play a big role for the next 3 books: Awakened Evil, Wicked Curse, and Mystical. So I didn't really do too much writing on Lenore and Margaret. Sorry about that. I didn't do a lot of writing on those two because in the second book, the third and fourth book, you'll get to know them a lot more. So like in the second book, you'll start to know their names, remember their names and what they look like and why they keep appearing. And then with Henry, I don't think right now Olivia knows who this little boy is that she keeps dreaming. So Henry was actually the first boy that was killed by Inga. Yeah. I'm trying to think when Lenore, the two little girls I think were killed after, I think, is what I'm guessing, or maybe it was before. I haven't read this series in a while, so you tend to forget things, but I'm pretty sure Henry was the first one that got killed. It could be, maybe, I don't know. But, so the two little girls will play in Awakened Evil, Wicked Curse, and Mystical, and I had a lot of fun with their characters because one of the main characters in the second book keeps seeing them, and she doesn't know why. So, her name is Madison, and she has a lot going on. I don't want to give too much away, but so I think if I was a 17-year-old, I think I would be upset too if my parents were going to send me to a therapist and then he would say, well, you're crazy, I'm sending you to a psych unit. So I really wanted to show that. And of course, when I'm reading these scary scenes, like the air conditioner right there, it makes that loud sound and then it starts going again, and every time it does that, it scares me. And then I heard the door downstairs close, and then I kind of jumped a little, and I could feel my heartbeat. So I was like, oh boy. But anyways, so I had a lot of fun writing that chapter, but it will continue on to chapter 19, which I will read this Friday at 6:45, I'm sorry. I can't read at 6:30. I could, but I'm working at Candy's Friday. I get off at 5, so then I can come home, snack on something, and then read chapter 19. And then I have farmer's market. Yeah. Okay, so Wednesday the 23rd's today. Is it the 23rd? Hello. Yes, it is. Okay. So Friday the 25th, this Friday, I'll be reading chapter 19 at 6:45. And then I'm not really sure if I'm going to be doing farmer's market because yesterday it was raining down so hard and it was kind of blowing a little bit and my books were getting wet. And I'm like, I can't afford the books were getting ruined, like they were getting wet, and thank God they didn't get too wet. So I told Judy, I said, I'm gonna pack up and leave because my books are getting wet. Everybody had to pack up and leave. And then of course, like 15 minutes later, the sun came out and it was shining, but it's better to be safe than sorry. So tomorrow, if it's going to storm and rain, I probably won't do farmer's market because I just don't want my books to get wet. So, and then, let's see. Okay, so I'm not sure if I'm doing farmer's market because it's probably going to be storming and raining. And then Tuesday the 29th of June, I'll be doing another coffee chat. I have no clue what I'm going to talk about. I have to wait for the week to go by to see what I'm going to talk about. And then Wednesday the 30th, I'll be reading chapter 19, I think. No, chapter 20. So, anyways, that is the schedule. And I hope you guys enjoyed this chapter. I think there's more scary chapters coming up. And there is a character that I really, really enjoyed writing. And I am so excited to... Oh, it's chapter 21. Oh my gosh. Let me see. Is she coming? So, anyways. So, thank you so much for joining me. And I'll see you in the next live. Bye.